In this activity, we're going to be doing things a little backwards from what we're going to end up doing it. Because they're going to be giving us the polynomial equation to create the data points from. Eventually, we're just going to be given the data points, and we should be able to come up with the polynomial. Okay, so anyway, in this case, they've given us this polynomial, y equals 4x squared minus 5x minus 3, and it's our job to see if we can come up with a set of differences that is matching, and see if we can come up with the degree of the polynomial. So my x values, I'm going to look at 1 through 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I can fill in my y values. Now this is probably the more difficult part of it, because the rest of it's just subtraction. And when we go to do the actual problems, this is the data points, so they're already going to be there for us. So if I substitute in the number 1, I've got 4 minus 5, so that's negative 1 minus 3, so that gets me a negative 4. If I substitute in the number 2, 2 squared is 4 times 4 is 16, minus 10 minus 3 is going to be a positive 3. If I substitute in the number 3, I've got exponents first. I've got 9 times 4, which is 36, minus 15, minus 3. That's going to get me 18. And I won't show you the rest of the substitutions. We do have all the numbers figured out except for 7, so we will do 7 together. So 4, it says, will be 41, and 5 will be 72, and 6 is 111. So when we go to do 7, we're going to do 7 squared, which is 49. We're going to multiply that by 4, and we get 196. And then we're going to subtract 5 times 7, which is 35. And then we're going to subtract 3, and we get 158. 158 is our last value here. Okay, so what we want to do is, it says go ahead and make a spreadsheet. Unless you know Excel, I wouldn't recommend putting it in spreadsheet, but you can try. We have those done. We're going to define a third column showing the difference between the consecutive y values. So we're going to do it as a row. So this is going to be our first set of differences right here. So we want to do 3. This is actually where people mess up the most, truthfully. 3 minus negative 4. Okay, that minus negative, some people forget about recognizing that negative. So that's going to get us 7. And 18 minus 3 is 15, and 41 minus 18, and it's okay if you guys are pulling out a calculator for these. I don't mind that, because it gets to be cumbersome if you're trying to do all of that mental math. So 41 minus 18 gives us 23, and then 72 minus 41 is going to get us 31. And 111 minus 72. Notice I'm always doing the second term minus the first term. It's getting us 39. And 158 minus 111 should get us 47. Okay, now when we did the problem in the last video, we did all those subtractions and we ended up with 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And we were finished. But that's because it was a first degree or a linear polynomial. Well, this one we're not finished. We have to keep going. So we're going to do another line of subtractions here. And we're going to use the numbers that we just came up with. So here we're going for the second line. Okay? We're going to keep going until we get matching numbers. So what is 15 minus 7? Well, I'm getting 8. And 23 minus 15? I'm getting 8. 31 minus 23 is an 8. 39 minus 31 is an 8. And sure enough, 47 minus 39 is an 8. So it took us till the second set of differences to get a constant number, which tells us this is quadratic. Because remember, quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. It has a degree of 2, which matches how many differences we had to go down. Okay, I'm going to erase this writing, so if you haven't finished writing it down, you can pause it, but then I'm going to go on to step 2. Okay, so here I'm going to take and clear those. All right, now step 2, again, they're giving us the function y cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 5, okay? And we're going to do our x's from 1 to, let's just do 1 to 6 because that's what I have already calculated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to get our y values from substituting them into the polynomial that they gave us. And like I said before, normally these values are just going to be given. If I put a 1 in here, I have 1 minus 3, so I'm at negative 2, plus 4 is 2, minus 5 is negative 3, so I've got a negative 3. If I put 2 in, I'm looking at 2 cubed, which is 8, minus 4 times 3 is 12, so 8 minus 12 is negative 4, plus 8 is positive 4, minus 5 is negative 1. Okay, and like I said, I've already got them calculated over here, so I'm going to go ahead and write the rest in. We've got 7, 27, 65, and 127. Okay, and let's go ahead and do those first level subtractions and see if this is linear. Negative 1 minus negative 3 is a positive 2. 7 minus negative 1 is a positive 8. 27 minus 7 is 20. 65 minus 27. 65 minus 27. I'm getting a 38. And 127 minus 65, again the second minus the first. 127 minus 65, I'm getting 62. Okay, well you can see it doesn't match here, so it's not linear. So let's move to our second line. And if I do my subtraction, 8 minus 2, I'm getting 6. And then I do 20 minus 8, and I'm getting 12. But that's not going to match, so I'm kind of doing a little predicting here. I thought this was going to match this level because that's what happened last time. Let's keep going and see what happens. 38 minus 20 is 18, and 62 minus 38 is going to be 24. Okay, well, like I said, that's not matching, so I can't stop here. Let's try and go one more line. Let's go the third set of differences. 12 minus 6 is 6. 18 minus 12 is 6. There we go. This time it took us 3 levels to get to, 3 sets of differences to get to that constant number. So that means this polynomial is cubic. And so it will go ax cubed, it will be degree 3, plus bx squared, plus cx plus d. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. We knew it was cubic because that's the function it gave us. Okay, so we ended up with 3 levels of differences that told us that it was cubic. So when we look at this last one here, this step 3, negative 2x to the 4th power, how many sets of differences do you think it's going to take us until we get to a constant number? Well, hopefully you predicted right, but let's go ahead and do it and make sure. Okay, I'm going to slide this up out of the way because I think I'm going to need a little bit more room here. So let's do it this way. Slide it on up there just so I have the polynomial for me to see. All right, so I have my x's and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this might take me a little longer because I don't have the numbers over here for that. So I'm going to be calculating them on my calculator next to me in real time. So you might as well pull out a calculator and see if you match as we go through this. Okay, substituting in the number 1, I'm looking at -2 plus 8 plus 11 minus 3. So I'm getting 14 as my first term. Okay, so if I'm looking at -2 times 2 to the 4th power plus 8 times 2 to the 3rd power plus 11 times 2 squared minus 3 times 2. It's giving me a value of 70. Now I'm going to try that, and this time I'm going to put 3 in. So I've got -2 times 3 to the 4th power. I've got 8 times 3 to the 3rd power. I've got 11 times 3 squared, and I've got 3 times 3, which gives me 144. Ooh, these numbers are growing fast, aren't they? So this time I'm going to substitute 4 into my function. Okay. 4 for all my x's, and I'm getting 164. And now I'm going to substitute 5 into my function. 5, 5, 5, and 5, and I'm getting hold on, let me do that one again. That didn't come out right. -2 times 5 to the 4th power plus 8 times 5 to the 3rd power plus 11 times 5 squared minus 3 times 5. Nope, that's right. Something weird happened when we hit 5. Look at that. All of a sudden it jumped down. That's going to be a weird subtraction when that happens. Curious, right? So now I'm substituting in 6. I'm curious to see what happens when 6 is substituted in. I'm getting a negative number now, -486. But now let's substitute in 7. And I'm getting a really negative number, -1540. I can tell you why that's happening. Up until this point right here, this 4, you see this -2, okay, substituting numbers into the 4th power, this thing was growing very fast with it being the 4th power. And when we multiply by -2, it makes it negative. But it didn't have much effect until we hit 5. And then all of a sudden, by making that a negative number, it was growing very large as this first term. That's what was causing this to go down all of a sudden. But as you can picture on the graph, it looks like, oh, the graph looks like we have a point here, and then it's going up to 70, and then it's going up to then it's going up to 164, and then all of a sudden it takes a dive back down here to 10. And that's where our issues start coming, and then it goes way down here negative and way down here negative. So our graph looks like it's going to have this dip going this way. So that's not necessarily something we've seen before. Okay, so getting back to finite differences. So our next step is to go through the first level And the first level says we're going to do 70 minus 14.